Okay, welcome everyone. I am Daniel Hubling, the president of the Beacon Hill Neighborhood Association. Welcome to is this our second general Zoom meeting? Or our third? I'm losing track. I'm in so many Zoom meetings now, I don't even know. But this is our August general meeting. I'm gonna try something here we played with earlier. I'm gonna try putting the agenda up for everyone to see. Let's see, where are we? Can you see that, or is that working?
Yeah.
I went through
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So that's the agenda as it stands right now. We haven't been joined by Officer Sanchez, so I think we can just go ahead and scratch this off. Is there anything anyone would like to add to the agenda before we get rolling in earnest?
Can you scroll up? Can you scroll up? I don't see it all.
Okay. That's all my scrolling ability.
Okay.
How far down can you see?
Community garden.
It would just be a couple other committee names after that. So.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing anybody wants to add? Alrighty. Okay. So I just went and lost it. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. One moment, please. Okay, there we go. So with that accepted, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as stands?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second. All in favor of adopting the agenda as it stands? Okay, everybody raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, agenda adopted. Next is minutes from the June meeting. I'm sure everyone has been poring over their newsletter this weekend. It's a good issue. It's good stuff. And you all read up on the minutes from the June meeting. Does anyone have any revisions to suggest for those minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as posted?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adopting the June minutes?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All righty. Minutes are adopted. Next up, a little friendliness. Do we have any newcomers, either brand new to the neighborhood or just first time at one of these meetings? Yeah. Okay, we got.
That would be me. I'm new to the meeting.
Is that Fernando?
Yes.
Okay. You've lived in the neighborhood a while, but first time to a meeting?
Yeah, I've lived here since '99 and took over my family home. So just gonna get involved here.
Okay, great. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
Was anything particular about this meeting, or is this just trying one out?
Yeah, trying it out.
All righty. Okay. Who else was new?
I'm going to break in slightly and say, Fernando, can I get your last name? Because I'm trying to keep track of participants and I don't
Yes.
see yours.
It's Gomez.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
And Peggy, I think you were saying?
I'm new to the meeting. I've lived in the neighborhood about 1.5 years now, but this is the first time I've attended a meeting.
Great. We're going to be coming back to you. You've got your own agenda slot, so we'll do more for you later. Anyone else?
I'm new as well. My name is Joe, and I'm interested in becoming more involved with the neighborhood association.
Okay. Excellent. Anybody else?
I'm Sally Seeker. I've lived in the neighborhood since 2008. So, but I've just never attended the meetings but now due to COVID-related concerns, I am able to attend Monday nights because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, this is the highlight of your social round. This is a little rough. Okay. Okay, anybody else or move on? All righty. Well, I thank all of you for giving us a try. I hope we'll have a lively one, or if not lively, at least maybe brief. So we'll take one of the two. So first up next up on the agenda for real business is the nominations committee. Coming up in October, we have our next board elections. And so per the bylaws, the first thing we need to do, first step in that is to present a nominations committee. The nominations committee is tasked with gathering nominees to stand in the election. Right now, it's a small but select crew. It's Kim Hubling and Cosima Colvin, our nominations committee. If you would like to be on the nominations committee and help round up other folks, that would be great, because the more people on the committee, the better. But even better than that is if you would like to stand and be a candidate in the elections. If you would like to be a candidate, if you would let Cosima or Kim know. Cosima and Kim, could you identify yourselves so they know who to look for to talk to?
Hi, this is Kim.
Okay, there we go. It's Cosima and Kim.
And sorry, we're gonna have an echo, Daniel and I. Mute your audio for a second. If you have your newsletter, Cosima and I, both of our names are on the back of the newsletter with our contact information. So if you're interested in being on the nominating committee, which really what is involved there is thinking of who might want to be on the board and then begging them to do it. If you want, and I like having a lot of different kinds of people on the nominating committee, so we end up with, different kinds of people on the board. Or if you're interested in the board and you have any questions, you can reach out to either Cosima or myself, and I'll let her talk now.
The board is made up of 7 positions, a president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary, and 3 directors. The tenure on the board, you can only serve in one position for 2 consecutive years. So Daniel, for example, is termed out. He was board president last year and again this year, so we will need to find a new board president. He can serve in another position on the board, so there is a little bit of musical chairs that sometimes goes on, but we really try and encourage and welcome new and different people to serve on the board so that we do get a variety of input from the neighborhood, both geographically and philosophically as well. So Joe, if you'd be interested in getting involved in the neighborhood association, Susan will try to steal you for newsletter delivery, but the board director positions, that's a good way to get into the neighborhood without biting off too much on the first go round. So if you want to consider that, let us know. And like Daniel said, if anybody else would like to serve on the nominating committee, it's a short-term duty. We have our elections in October, so after that, we will disband. That's it for me.
Awesome. Yes, I'm definitely interested. So I will reach out.
Okay. I'm going to add one last thing, not necessarily calling out Fernando, but I feel like one representation I would really love to see on the board is people who grew up in the neighborhood or they've lived here for many, many years. I feel like we're having people like you who grew up here, moved away, and taking over the family house again. And I don't know if we have anyone in that situation right now on the board. And that's something I'd be interested in trying to find somebody. So I just want to put that bug in your ear, anybody's ear really. But.
Careful, Raphael, there's a ghost behind you. You're haunted, your house is haunted.
I'm trying to get away from her forever, but it won't work.
Yeah. Did anyone have any questions about either the nominations committee or the board positions or the elections or anything like that? Okay. One other thing I should mention along those lines though, so elections are in October, at the October meeting, to be eligible either to stand for a position or just to vote in the elections, you do need to have attended one of these meetings in the year preceding that meeting. So this and September are your last chances at attending that meeting and becoming eligible in October. So there you go. If you know anybody who might be interested, make sure they're at the September meeting, okay? I don't think there's anything else along those lines other than just reiterating, as Cosima mentioned, I'm about to term out as president. So if you know anybody who wants to rocket to the pinnacle of authority in this neighborhood, this is their chance. It's a rush, like it's just giddy. It's giddy. Let's see. All right, more seriously, because we're serious around here. Let's see, 2020 census is going on right now. You may have seen things of news. You may have noticed it in the newsletter on Facebook. I've got some firsthand experience there right here because I am working for the census at the moment, literally going door to door, trying to round up all the people who have not filled out their questionnaire. And there's a lot of them, way too many of them. Nationwide, the return rate was about 60% from what they mailed out. And I'm not even sure we're doing that well right here locally. So if you haven't done yours, please do so. If you don't know any neighbors or friends in the neighborhood or just anywhere, not just the neighborhood, but get them to do it, please. Aside from the fact that I have the job, I think it's a thing worth doing as a civic duty. And if you all do it, then I don't have to come to your house and do this really kind of weird, awkward questionnaire. It's much better if you just do it online. Take you 5 minutes, you do it online, instead of me standing there in the heat and going like, when was your birthday? And are you male or female? I literally have to ask that. So let's just save us both of that, okay? Any questions on the census? No. Yeah.
You make a compelling case, Daniel.
Yeah. If that doesn't get you, I don't know what will. All right. I'll introduce this, but I think other people may have some more to say about it. COVID support. We've tried to suggest, like put in some things in the newsletter, like if you need help right now, let us know. It came up at our last board meeting, whether we're doing enough of that or whether we should have try more angles on that. I think it's a valid question, probably something we need to keep asking ourselves because this isn't going to be over anytime soon. And some people, even if they're okay right now, might not be okay in a few months. So, but I want to throw it more at all of you. What are your thoughts on that? What we have done or what we should be doing? Suggestions, constructive criticism. What do y'all think?
So, I'm wondering if it might help us put together or find where there is a clearinghouse of support. So, the Department of Neighborhood and Housing Services has a lot of information about housing.
Everyone mute themselves. There's a lot of background noise going on.
Yes.
Thank you.
And mitigation, and there might be other departments, and that might be a nice idea is to have, maybe just put signs on the, around the neighborhood saying, if you need help, contact blah, 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 and we can hook them up with those, give them, here's the resources from the city that are available and give them options.
I'm going to speak to the signs thing. I'm curious for people's thoughts. So how the signs came up, which I think is a good idea. Alta Vista did something similar. And if you've driven through Alta, which if you don't know, that's our sister neighborhood to the east, they have put signs up. They're very kind of basic. Huh? I don't know. Somebody's, Juan? I think Juan, you need to mute yourself. I don't know. So there you go. Cool. They're very basic, and they just basically say, need help, call this number, email this contact. And to me, an issue or challenge with that is people knowing what you mean by need help. You want to leave it broad, but then the other thing is people actually reaching out, and that can be a challenge. I'm not saying the signs aren't worth doing, because to be honest, I can get a pretty good price on signage, on those yard signs. So anyway, I just want to speak to the signs. But I had another, go ahead.
I was sort of thinking not so much the formal signs that they have, but maybe, you know how you have a lost dog or lost cat and people put them, something like that, and be specific. Do you know what resources you have? If you need help with that, contact whoever. That was more what I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Would it maybe be worth adding a page to our website with a listing of resources that would be available?
Sure.
Yeah, we could put that together. I think if anyone has any specific things they want to suggest be on there, that would be helpful.
Do we have a sense that people are not able to find the help that they need? Are we hearing that from neighbors, that they have neighbors that they think don't even know where to begin to go to look for help?
Oh,
Daniel, is that
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if that's a problem or not. I think that it was prompted more by just wanting to make sure we're not just ignoring any issues, but maybe the fact that no one's contacting us means they're finding what they need.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't want people to go without or to not know where to look, but I know you guys put almost a whole page in the previous newsletter, whether it was last month or the month before, and there's a lot of information flowing out there. What I personally see as being more the issue, and this would be part of my ZUD report, is, we have 17 properties that were given code enforcement violations this month for needing painting. Those people we know need help now. We know that because they've got 30 days to solve that problem. Right. And so I'm wondering if so the gap that I consistently see in between working with city programs and working with neighborhoods is that person who makes the connection. The information is out there, the programs are out there, the people who need it are out there, but it almost takes an ombudsman. And so I would really like to see us focusing on those 17 people, for starters, that we absolutely know need some kind of assistance. Or if we go and talk to 17 and 10 say, no, we're good, 7 people needing help will keep us busy.
Is it mainly elderly people?
Right now, all I have is addresses. So I'm trying to do some research and see, if any of these are rental properties, because I would approach those differently if we're talking about a landlord versus a homeowner. And then, understanding who are these families. And like I said, there may be people that don't need the assistance. But what code does is they have a brochure with a bunch of phone numbers, and you call this phone number, they're out of money till the 1st of the month. And it's just not that easy. I've tried before. I've tried to help people before, and I know my way around the city, and it is really tough. So I think about these 17 people, and it's just a cluster, because what's going to happen as they don't comply or can't comply is they get another notice, and it just jams up the city system in trying to follow up on all these cases. I mean, honestly, I don't know what the city's goal is here. But it puts these people in more stress than they need right now. And nobody's actually trying to solve the problem. The city is trying to hold up a big stick and warn them, and with people who are standing there going, I don't know what to do. And that's just not going to get her done. So.
Is it mostly code compliance officers kind of, like, is it like they've been assigned to do this in different neighborhoods, or is this somebody calling code compliance?
Mark was the one that looked into it. He said they did 2 sweeps in our neighborhood. And I'm really not happy about the fact that code enforcement would do 1 sweep, much less 2, in our neighborhood without contacting the neighborhood association and coordinating that. That's never, I mean, that's just not the way it's been done in the past. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents as far as COVID resources and help. I think we've got cases right now that we should be on top of, that we can try to do something with.
So I'm not ashamed to say that I am one of the 17 that received this City Code 101 education form on my door, stating that it needs to be corrected within 30 days. That definitely did. I mean, receiving this notice or this education form and then given 30 days, it did strike up a call to the code enforcement officer, and I told her that, you know, I'm looking into getting a lot of remodels done in the upcoming years, but it just doesn't make sense for me to paint the exterior part of my house when I still have a foundation to address and shifting's going to occur. So I'm not sure if that's even the route. I mean, is it okay to paint the exterior before I actually level the house? And I would hate for it to cost me more money. And so she said that, I told her, I was like, I don't mind calling around, getting quotes and showing that I'm at least making an effort on my part, but I don't think it's right because I'm trying to save up for foundation first. And she said, go ahead and give me a call back next week, which I did. And just leave me a message that you did contact somebody, and if they agree that it's probably not a good idea to paint it, then just let me know and I'll close out your case. Now, if the city revisits the file and they see that it shouldn't have been closed, so then they'll contact me at that time. So that's the notice. I'm one of them, and I don't like it. It was like the most inconvenient time to get this notice. It was really upsetting.
So can I ask a question? I mean, am I being a little too cynical, or, you know, painting is one of those things that then your property values go up, or your you know, because it's the exterior is one of the things that they do an evaluation on your house. Do you think there's a link between the two, or is it just, you know?
No.
You know, that actually came to mind. That definitely came to mind when I was like, oh, well, if I paint this, now my property taxes are going to be going up when they've already gone up. So, and I haven't even gone through the process of disputing my taxes. So I could only imagine what next year would bring if they see the exterior painted. So I thought the same thing, Cynthia.
No, they just basically have certain things that they sweep like whole areas. It isn't our neighborhood. And right now they're doing low-hanging branches for the bicycle routes. So everybody who's got low-hanging branches around the, street level is getting a notice for those. They just pick out different things at different times and go around and tag a whole bunch of, neighborhoods.
Excuse me, I have a couple of questions for Cosima. Number one, where did you get the list of the people?
So 311 online has a interactive map, and it's covered with a bunch of red and blue dots. And I believe the blue dots are the closed cases and the reds are the opens. And as you zoom in, you can start to see the streets. And if you put your cursor over one of the dots, it'll open a little window, give you a case number, give you the date of the citation, and give you the type of violation. So we don't know anybody's names. We just know the addresses, the date the violation was given, and what it is.
Okay, my second question is, if you found somebody that was in need that couldn't afford to paint their house, is the neighborhood association in a position to help actually doing the painting and buying the paint and stuff? Or are we just trying to connect people to somebody else?
I would say both. There are lots of resources out there. And again, some of us have over the I've been involved in the neighborhood association over a decade, and I've done a lot of work collaborating with the city on getting things resolved. And so it's easier for me to sometimes get some help. But they have various programs we've used here in the neighborhood to get help with, you know, whether it was yard cleanup or other things. So I would start out first by seeing what resources the city also already has available. And then if it just looks like we're running into stone walls and there's a feeling in the neighborhood that we want to get together and do this, then we put out the call and we get it done. We've done both. So both are on the table.
I'm going to interject briefly and say that I know of at least one neighbor, and I think there are probably many more, who are looking for ways to help people during COVID, and not necessarily financially, but for example, Justin Lindbergh, who's formerly the chef from Sohill, has been doing odd jobs for people just to help people. I think he'd be interested in, you know, potentially doing some more like that. So I think if somebody were able to drive the bus on this and take the lead, I think that if we put the call out on Facebook, I think we would get a lot of people willing to pitch in. It can be complicated to keep people motivated. I can tell you just from one workday project that I put together where a neighbor had gotten cited a number of times for her lot being overgrown, and it was like a triple or quadruple lot and had bamboo. Like, it was a big project, and 30 people were gonna come, and then it was like the same 7 people who are always there as who actually came. Susan was there. We got it done, but so someone would have to really be motivated to take the lead, I think.
I should also say that we have communicated with the councilman's office on that. We sent him an email over a week ago saying, hey, this happened in our neighborhood. This doesn't seem like a really good time for code enforcement to be out there leaving these notices on people's fences. There's a lot of stress psychologically that people are going through. There's all kinds of other variables, work and homeschooling and who knows what. And so they responded, can you get us a little bit more information? And that's when Mark did the research to find out, you know, how many and what dates and what the violations were. We now sent them back an email, and I'm putting a little pressure on there, also saying, you know, every elected office has constituent services. And so I said, how can we work with your constituent services to address some of these needs? So we've got a couple of irons in the fire.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts about that, or helping people in that regard, or issue of maybe over-exuberant citations regarding maintenance right now?
Can I just say, Fernando, if you would get in touch with me or Mark, our contact information is on the back of the newsletter for the Zoning and Urban Design Committee. I'd like to add your voice to, you know, since you're one of those people.
Yes, thank you.
And circling back a little bit to where we started with this, any other thoughts on COVID support, or whether we need to be offering more support there? Yeah.
I have one more thing I want to raise a point of. I think a lot of the COVID support is going to need to be us as residents knowing our neighbors and having a sense for what they need. So it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, an organized thing. I mean, it can be both. So I think all of us here right now are probably engaged enough in the neighborhood that we would know, like, you know, my 80-year-old neighbor might need groceries picked up. But something that occurred to me recently, and I'm actually going to call out Raphael and Rosette, I think you're both here, because your parents, with school getting ready to start, you know, the shutdown happened, spring break, school didn't happen, and then, okay, y'all made it to summer and you were ready for summer, and then now everything is so chaotic with school starting. I know that you guys were just doing a SAISD meeting like 10 minutes before this. And so I was thinking today whether there's possibly some way that people could help. Like Daniel and I don't have children. I could read to someone's kid for an hour. I don't know. I just think it'd be good for people to start thinking outside the box in terms of how to help each other in a social way more than financial or painting things. So I don't know. I don't have any big ideas, but maybe if people could just start thinking about it on their own. And I'll probably post something in the Facebook group to that effect. I don't know the right way to do it, but one neighbor in particular, I will say, their child is maybe going into kindergarten and they're struggling because he's at the age where he should be learning to read, and they just don't have time with both of them working and 2 kids at home. And so, if we can all think of ways, I think especially to help people with children right now. That's all I got.
Anyone else on that topic?
It's a great idea.
Question.
It's a great idea. Yes, I would join in.
Sure, Nancy, go ahead.
Agree, Kim. And we've tutored in the past, and we'd love to do that too. We don't have many children on our street, but if you knew someone, we could help out with that. One strong in math, one strong in writing.
Okay.
But not both for either one.
So, Kim, were you talking about reading like online, like through like Zoom or going to someone?
I don't know. I think we'd have to figure it out. Can you mute your mic, Daniel?
Sorry.
I think we'd have to figure it out as we went along, what we're comfortable with, what the parents might be comfortable with. Like personally, we have a very large porch. I'm comfortable masked if the other person is masked and we're outside at a distance. So someone that I knew who trusted me might feel okay with dropping off their child or hanging out. I will watch your child for an hour. I think we'd have to figure it out. Or maybe there would be an opportunity for online stuff as well.
Because there's a lot of us, I mean, I'm a former high school teacher, so is Mark. Like, we could do tutoring if we could figure out a way to do that.
Yeah. I think we should. I think I'm going to put a call out on Facebook, and we'll see anyone who might be interested in helping with something like this, and we'll just start tossing ideas around. So I think there's Peggy, Kelly Richmond, who lives on our street. She's working as well, but she has like a literacy background. And so I don't know. And then maybe we can just form a little group and take it from there.
Okay. Any other thoughts there?
Well, Lucy usually has her pulse on families that need help. I would just suggest that if she runs across some while she's doing all the good stuff that she does, that she lets the rest of us know somehow.
One other thing I was going to mention, if you have any elderly neighbors who don't like to go to the grocery store right now, HEB does have a program going where they can call in their order. Someone will take the order down for them, and a messenger or what they call a runner will go pick up the groceries and deliver it to them. It's all contactless. So if you know of anybody in a position that would be helpful to them, you can look that up. It's what is it? favordelivery.com/seniors is a good way to look that up in case that's of any use to anybody.
And they frequently had people donate to cover the delivery costs too. So oftentimes seniors won't end up paying any more than they would going to the grocery store themselves.
All right. Anything else on those topics or? Alrighty.
May I just say one more?
Sure, certainly.
Susan's next door neighbor, who is a neighbor of mine, is turning 91 on Friday. And we are going to try to do some kind of little thing, probably late afternoon or something, for people to just drive by and wave at him and that sort of stuff. So if I get back to you guys on that, would you see if you have time to drive by and honk and wave at him? His name is Adolfo Perez.
Sure.
Okay.
Awesome. We actually have our family Trivial Pursuit Zoom from California to Boston on Friday evenings, but if it's before 6, Mike and I can do it.
There you go. All right.
Is that something that would go on the Facebook group as an invite so that people know that they can just like go and do it instead of just trying to get names? Is that something we can open?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anyone in that Facebook group. I mean, there's a group of admins, but anyone's able to make an event. So if, you know, I don't know if Sue, I don't know if you're in the Facebook group, but if you just put the info out there, someone else could share it. Just because we get pretty broad reach with that group. So
thanks.
I'll talk to Sue about it. We'll organize it.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan.
By the way, whoever came up with the idea to have the Mr. Soft Ice Cream Cone guy come by the neighborhood park, that was amazing, and it would be nice to have more of that. It's easy to just get out of the house, kind of walk down the road and purchase an ice cream, and it made my night. Like it would be nice to have more of that for the community.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak to that real briefly. So we have a committee called Heart of the Neighborhood, which is like, we call it the party planners. And so right now we're not doing gatherings, but what's really cool about this neighborhood is that you don't need to be officially on a committee to do anything. You could just do whatever and put the call out there. So it's a neighbor named Gina Hashimoto, who I know socially through animal stuff, but I mean, she's probably been to a meeting, but she just did that on her own. And she put it out there on Facebook, and it was amazing. So I would love for more people to do stuff like that. We could try and do it as a neighborhood association, but I also think it's really cool. We're all the neighborhood association. So if anyone has any kind of idea, you know, go with it, you know. Put it on that Facebook group, and hundreds of people went and got ice cream. I'm pretty sure, you know, that guy was busy for like 3 hours. So
yeah, Joe, they kind of stole your ice cream social idea. So not to say you couldn't still do it, but
I love it.
On my block of Beacon Hill, if you had a Chardonnay truck, that would be even more popular.
You were muted when you said
yeah, I'd go to that one. Cosima, did you want to say anything else about the abundant community? Not sure she heard me there. So. Okay, well, she put a tag in the chat. I don't know if y'all have that open. About if you look up abundant community online, you will find a website about how neighborhoods can become stronger and more resilient by providing services to each other as versus always looking to outside sources for childcare, yard help, etc. Beacon Hill already practiced some of that, but the more people that are aware of the concept, the better.
Actually, I gave that to Cosima, and I've heard their presentations at Trinity University about 3 years ago, and there's some really kind of well-respected theologians involved, and it's quite a philosophy of strength from neighborhoods, not the federal government, that kind of thing, or working together. So yeah, it is a good thing to pay attention to, because this is for Beacon Hill, because we're so varied and strong because of our differences, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that's a sort of key thing of the association in general, is just trying to get everybody working together and helping each other. So that's what we're after. I'm going to shift gears, and we're going to throw to you, Peggy. Just brought something.
Nope, sorry about that. Just dropped my iPad at the time I get on. So hi everyone. This is my first meeting too, and I've not met most of you in person, but I would like to. I'm over on Russell, so if anyone's out and about, we're the ones with a couple old decrepit gold retrievers, so most people know the dogs before they know us. Daniel asked me to give an update on something I began working on, and I took Kim's advice to heart when she said, anybody can do anything, just go do it. So I did. I there's a substation I think most of you are aware of at the corner of Russell and Agassiz that runs along the railroad track, and it's been overgrown and it's some cement. And I think it's been closed since the 70s or maybe the early 80s. I can't remember what they told me. So I reached out to CPS and asked them, it took me a little bit to figure out who owned it, because CPS leases some of their spots and some of them they're owned. And I finally got to the bottom of it, and it was CPS, and they responded very quickly. I do not have the results I would like yet. They've agreed to clean it up, and they began cleaning it up. They've also submitted some permits to the city to remove this concrete and that little building that's on it. They're not sure if it's considered a historic building, and they don't know exactly what's beneath the concrete. This substation evidently had kind of fallen off of their radar for the most part. Someone would come over and cut the grass or spray some weed killer and leave, and that was it. It collects a lot of garbage. It collects a lot of trash, and they've been working to get it better. I wanted them to donate it back to the city or to the neighborhood or something, do something with it, create a park, return it to just green space, plant some trees, whatever. But I was told that after I brought it to their attention, this is a prime property for them now. So they're not going to donate it to the city, or it would be a big fight to get that. But they are going to clean it up, remove the concrete, and what they've told me is they're going to leave the fence, which I don't think is possible. You can't bring heavy equipment in there to move the concrete and leave that decrepit fence. Once it's all gone, they will put some topsoil on it and seed it for grass, but that's all they're agreeing to do. So I'm asking all of you, does anyone have any ideas, or have you ever dealt with something like this and were successful? Because I'm open to anything. I'll fight the good fight, but I need to know where to go to fight it. They did have an idea, and I'm wondering if anyone has heard this. Their lead environmental outreach, I don't know his exact title, was with, I met with a Mr. Leroy Perez. He's the one who was over this. He's an engineer over this project. He brought his lead environmental outreach guy, and there's a monarch, I don't remember exactly where it's coming from, but there's an idea that the Audubon Society has reached out to different power companies, things like that, asked them to build monarch gardens to help restore the populations of our depleting monarchs. It was extremely preliminary. They did not have any information on it except that they had been asked to do something. They asked, would I be in favor of that? And of course I said, absolutely, let's do it right now.
Yes, 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 yes.
You know, that's exactly what I would like to be seeing there. But that's, I think it was, I don't know if they were just mentioning it to pacify me at the moment, because they don't know anymore. So I think if we put the pressure on, if I have a couple thoughts that I don't know. Do we have any attorneys on the line here? I don't know.
Sue Hall.
So their whole take is, I'm gonna try to set my iPad back down, sorry, is that they want to leave the fence up because it's a liability. I don't know what liability you have with a flat piece of ground that's just grass. If they're removing every single thing and it's just going to be flat grass, what's the liability? To me, I think the fence is more of a liability.
I don't know, but right now they have a building on it. So
and it's fenced. So they claim the fence protects them. And I said, I don't know what world you lived in, but what are you protecting, or what are you protecting yourself from? If they remove everything, what's the argument against leaving, or for against leaving the fence? Just surrounding topsoil is what they're telling me they're going to return it to.
Are they talking about removing the building? I wasn't clear on that. They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would like to flatten everything except the fence.
Well, when we get there and they remove the building and they put the topsoil in, then we'll have another discussion about whether they need a fence or not.
Okay, I think they think they're leaving the fence, which I don't think is possible. The fence is connected to the building. My family actually has a heavy equipment construction company back near New Orleans, where I'm from. I've never seen a bulldozer come in and move concrete and leave a fence. I don't know how that's going to happen, but so my thoughts are just it'll be ripped down, but I want to get to them before they put a new one up.
So were you thinking some of your family members might come with one of
No,
those
ma'am.
bulldozers?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
I've just seen it done a lot, and I kind of just let it go. I say, okay, you're leaving the fence, leave the fence, but I want to see how they do that.
When they get it knocked down, we'll have an argument with them.
That's it. So that's my thoughts. I would love to push for them to do the monarch garden. I don't see what that could possibly hurt if they're going to use this property 10, 20, 30 years from now. We can have a good 30 years worth of monarchs coming through.
But what about the idea, excuse me, of, I see on the chat that somebody answered me, it would be cool to have them preserve the building and make something useful, like, you know, an extension of the art studios of
right. Yeah, the art
Houseman's Houseworks, or you know, a tool shed for people maintaining the milkweed or whatever to attract the monarchs. I hate to see them tear it down.
I agree. I wanted them to turn it into a public green space of some sort. And I even had mentioned we have this huge art co-op sitting next to it. We have a neighborhood full of master gardeners. Why can't we do something with this property?
Well, we'll get behind. We'll join you. We'll join you in your effort.
Well, join me. Yes, let's do. Dave already submitted the permit, so I think we have to. And I'm glad things are moving along quickly. But once it's almost like we brought this property up to their attention, and now they realize they have a very. It's one of their favorite pieces of property now because it runs along the tracks, it runs along the main lines, and they own it out and right.
Is it historic?
No, well, he doesn't know if that building is, but the rest of it's not. But for them to put in new substations, there's a whole lot of jigsaw pieces that have to come together. And evidently, this piece of property, it's fitting very nicely. So they don't
the ideas on the chat. That's very cool.
I don't see that. I haven't seen the chat. What's it say?
Knitting museum, ice cream shop. You know, wine bar.
Well, so I have a question. Oh, sorry. I have a question. You may not know this, Peggy, but when you say they've put in for the permits, do you know for what? Like, have they put in for a permit to demolish the structure?
I asked that question, Kim. I said, was the permit to remove the cement, the fence, and the structure? And he said, his update from whoever he's assigned it to told him the permits have been submitted. Now, I have Mr. Perez's phone number directly. I do not mind calling him and putting him on spot, but I think what they're doing is as little as possible to pacify what's going on. I mean, what I want.
Right.
So
well, my question about the demo would be, like, can they? If the building is historic or not, I don't think they will necessarily, like that, not that I'm saying they're going to give the property to us to do something cool with, but it would be good if we could somehow keep tabs of them trying to demolish that. I saw someone on the chat, I think it's a CPS property, electrical substation. So they were asking if it was train or electrical. So I don't know if Kasima is still, yeah, I don't know if Kasima is still here, or I saw Stephanie Phillips's name. She's with the Office of Historic Preservation, or Jordan. I don't know if anybody would have any idea if CPS has an easier way of tearing things down in our neighborhood than a homeowner would.
I don't know if CPS or other utilities or sort of municipal organizations are exempt from the demolition policy. But as it stands, the city's demolition policy is such that anybody requesting a demolition permit, any property, goes in front of the Office of Historic Preservation for review. That could be a quick slam dunk review where, you know, the property is a newer property, really not historic, or it could be a full 30-day review. And in all cases, OHP can find significance in the structure and deny the permit. And then there's a, you know, follow-up steps that would need to be taken. So I don't know if CPS is exempt from that or not.
Mark, do you know about all that? I think you're muted. You're muted, Mark.
Sorry, I don't think CPS would have that much difficulty if they wanted to tearing it down. That's my take on it.
It's a shame. It's a cool building.
Yeah.
Well, if we wanted to save the building, I mean, if that were the goal of the neighborhood, OHP, because we're a neighborhood conservation district, OHP will send us notice of that request and ask for our input. So if the neighborhood would want to try to preserve that building, we would have the opportunity to make that case, but the case has to be made. There are criteria that have to be met in order to substantiate that the building has some sort of significance or is a contributing structure historically.
I'd be willing to take that on, Cosima.
So you work with Peggy.
Okay. Hi, Peggy. I'll get your contact info later.
I can connect. I'll connect you too.
Thank you.
I'll take all the help I can get. Like I said, I would love to see it turned into something usable, but if the best we can get them to do is turn it into some green space or a wildlife lot for the time being until they decide to use it again, I think that should be in city code anyways. They can't just let these cement slabs lay around like this forever. I mean, we're talking 40, 50 years it's been there. It's been decommissioned for 40 to 50 years.
Right. Yeah, just sort of gut reaction to me. I think ideally I'd like to see a stand of trees there. If they don't want to plant anything that permanent, the butterfly garden sounds great. A quarter acre of milkweed.
Right. It'd be great.
But yeah, I guess just say forge ahead, see what we can find out, and keep us abreast. I think if you have a place where you need us chiming in, be glad to do so. That can help out at all. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Thanks for coming. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Where to go? Alrighty. We're going to shift up slightly. Still park-like. Linear Park. Probably saw Jerry had a fairly lengthy thing in the newsletter. It is supposed to come before City Council this week, 13th, for their votes. I'm assuming it'll be largely a rubber stamp. I don't see any obstacles to their approving the plans. And once it does get approved by City Council, last we heard from TCI, it sounded like they would move pretty quickly on starting the construction. If anybody does want to sort of weigh in on that before City Council, I don't know, Cosima, you might be able to throw in a little bit about the best way for someone to put in a word there. If there's a phone line they could call, if there's voicemail, or I'm not sure how that's working right now. Do you have any thoughts, Cosima?
Are you talking in regards to Peggy and Nancy's project?
No, the linear part goes before City Council on the 13th. If somebody wanted to put in their 2 cents for City Council, what would be the best way to do that right now?
So I think it's always a good thing for the neighborhood association to be present at City Council when there's something that affects us going on. We are there when we have an issue and we're fighting against something. I think that we should be there equally as exuberantly when we are thanking council for their support on something. A thing like this, a contract like this, probably goes on consent agenda. So what you don't want to do is end up getting it pulled from consent and sitting around for 2 hours while you end up, at some place on the agenda. but typically city council has a time where you can speak before they open up the agenda, and so you can kind of speak on any item. And I think it would be nice if someone, if the neighborhood association or Jerry or someone did a letter and just thanking council for their support and talking a little bit about the project. And then that can be read at the beginning of the council meeting. I think that's, it gives our councilmen a nice positive at the meeting. They don't get enough of that. I think it's a good, I think it's good form.
Roger. We'll see if we can put something together for that. And,
I don't think there's any concern that it wouldn't get passed. So that wouldn't be my concern. I just think it's good form to give them kudos when it's appropriate.
Sure, it's a good point. Okay, I think it's time for committee chairs. Mrs. Eller, did you have anything you wanted to talk about regarding benevolent fund?
Everybody has a newsletter, of course. If you look at page 2, most of the information is there. And we're still open for donations. We're going to try to work together with school districts and collect more school supplies. Lord and I are going to meet sometime, and we're going to get in touch with the person from the school district. We will have schools, and we still need more donations. If anybody would like to donate, you're welcome. If you look at page 4, you can see school supplies are needed. So you can call me or call Lola, and we'll do our best. It is all for the children, and we'll do our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Eller. Mark or Cosima, do you have anything for Zed, or good, just based on what those in the newsletter?
Yeah, I think we covered it with the code enforcement thing. I mean, that's really what we're working on right now, is trying to get our arms around those code enforcement cases. We've also had a number of requests for demolitions. Office of Historic Preservation has reached out to us to see if there's something they can help us with. That typically means, you know, they would like to see us go historic, which is not, look, Lucy.
Oh my God.
You know, is not an immediate solution, and unknown if it's any solution at all at this point. So I think Zud right now is just working on the code enforcement stuff. That's the most important.
Oh, beautiful.
Sorry, my granddaughter steal the meeting.
Stole there. Okay, let's see. I don't know if we have anything else there. We don't have anyone from Garden, unless Cynthia wants to talk Garden at all. Have any news there? That may be about it. Is there anything anyone else wants to throw in or weigh in on, or has any questions about at this point?
Yeah, I just
have some things to say. Oh, I'm sorry. Chanda might have some things to say about the garden. Chanda? No.
Okay, I just put a quick question in the group chat. Is there a way we can donate group supplies through like Amazon or HEB favor delivery to a certain address?
Oh, I don't know. Kim, did you hear that one?
Oh, sorry, that was a question for me.
Well, a question to Ms. Eller. We can donate school supplies like Amazon for delivery to.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I hadn't thought of for the neighborhood.
I clicked the wrong address, so I'm actually looking for the wrong place.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So
Okay.
census worker at the door right now.
There is. She's looking. So this may happen to you. If you need me, I'll be back in a few minutes. Just to let you know, besides census workers coming, can you mute your mic? Coming to see if you filled the census, another thing that might happen is they also need, so if they find a place that is vacant, they need a neighbor to say, yes, that place is definitely vacant. So we filled out our census, but she's here looking for us to say, yes, that that's catty corner, apartment 1 has been vacant. So, anyway, that's why I had to run off. So we were talking about school supply donations through Amazon. Is that what somebody brought up?
Yeah, I threw in two comments, questions at the end there.
So y'all stop me if I'm misunderstanding, but so something I had not thought of, Mrs. Eller, is that some people will do this. I've seen teachers do this where they can make essentially a wish list, and they say, I would like 100 binders and I would like 47 packets of pencils, and that's all in Amazon. And then other people can go in and purchase it and have it shipped straight to you, donations. And so that might be something that we look at for you. Is that, am I speaking to the right point, Sally?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, just because that way we would know exactly what was needed. And I, for one, am not going into stores and browsing. Right. Amazon is a regular on my porch, but that way it would go straight to her and it would be what would be needed.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. And y'all have probably done the same thing. I've donated to a lot of different organizations that way and just had the stuff shipped straight to them. So, Mrs. Eller, I'll talk to you later about how we could set that up and then how we could share it with people.
Definitely. We're ready to go anytime.
Okay. I think this might get you a lot more donations than you might normally get with people actually having to go to the store and buy the items and bring them to you. So yeah, it's a great idea, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Did you want to do animals?
Yeah, sorry, I'm doing all the talking tonight. Real briefly, so I'm also the chair of the Animal Care Committee, which is a loose organization of people like me and Peggy Cuevas. She doesn't know she's on the committee. Sally Seeker. Anyone who helps an animal in any way, I'm like, I know just that Peggy.
Okay.
Peggy knows how to trap cats. Sally knows how to trap cats. In any event,
I need a trap.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk. In any event, I wanted to tell you guys a few things that are happening in the neighborhood right now with regard to animals. Loose dogs, as always, are an issue. Very often, more often than not, the dogs live somewhere. It's pretty rare that it's actually a stray dog. And so if you see a loose dog, you know, you're not going to call for every dog you see wandering by. But if there's a dog that you see out periodically, I am not a proponent of calling the authorities on people for every little thing. You know, dogs get out. You know, I know several dogs who will jump a 6-foot fence like a deer, and I'm not going to hold that against the owners. But there are some irresponsible pet owners in the neighborhood who don't secure their fences. I know of one on my block. It's 3 dogs who will get out and run as a pack. And I know for a fact that see Nicole Creech, I might have been on the meeting. I'm not sure if she's still here. A mother cat and a kitten were killed in front of her house, and I know where those dogs lived. And so, you know, I'm working with ACS on having the owners be held accountable in terms of them needing to secure their fence. And more than that, probably the animals need to be seized, not to be put down, because, you know, they're actually quite nice. They're friendly dogs, but dogs in a pack running around, they're going to attack cats. ACS is not going to automatically put an animal down for something like this, but I bring up that house in particular because the animals do get out a lot, and really just as an example, but to the point that when they were out, someone posted on Facebook, these dogs are out, And another neighbor said, oh, are those the dogs that live at such and such such? Like, we all know exactly where the dogs live. So if there's a house on your street where that's an issue and it's not a situation where you could go knock on their door and say like, hey, your dog's out again, you know, there are neighbors that you could have that conversation with, and there might be neighbors that you don't feel comfortable with that for whatever reason. If you're not comfortable with that conversation and the dogs are a problem, please call ACS when you see them out. ACS will come, the dogs may be in again when they get there, but you really just, you can call, you can report online. There's an app that sometimes is working, sometimes it isn't. But we just need to make those reports, even though when they get there, if the dogs are on the property, they're not going to cite them at all. But we just kind of need to establish a pattern of rule violation. I can't think of the word. So I don't know. So that's a big thing that's been going on the last month. There have been several attacks of cats by dogs. And then we've had situations in past months where dogs are attacking neighbors. And so it just depends on what's happening at any given time. So we kind of all need to work together as much as we can on the loose dog thing. So that's the negative. On the positive side, I'm going to look into this. There's a woman who's active in our Facebook group. Her name is Kelly Reed Walls, and you might have seen her she chimes in very helpfully on all sorts of animal issues. She does not actually live in the neighborhood, but that's just what a rescue advocate she is that she's in a number of Midtown neighborhood groups just to be an advocate and provide information. So I've worked with her on a few things. She's taught me a lot. And one thing she's taught me that we're going to look into is that, you know, I was trying to figure out if we could schedule like a microchipping event in the neighborhood, get people to maybe walk to the park, bring their dogs and do microchipping. And I have not been very good about actually making that happen, but something that she clued me into is that I can learn to do it. So, and I can do it. And so it's something that I'm going to look into. Maybe I haven't figured. Let me have the headphones for a sec.
Sean, wrap up. I'm going to go help you.
It's very professional, but my iPad just died. So that's something I'm going to explore. The same way the neighborhood association owns a microchip scanner, and I'll go scan a dog. Maybe it's a situation where we have an event, people can come, or if it's really a hardship for people, maybe I go to them and chip their dog, so, or cat. So we'll see how long that takes for me to get organized on that. But and that's all I have. And Daniel has stepped out to talk to the census worker that's on our porch. So Daniel, Sean McMain's, Daniel asked me to pass it to you to wrap the meeting up, because I believe that we have reached the end of the agenda.
Oh, the pressure. Well, all right. Does anybody else have anything they want to touch on before we wrap up this evening?
I was kind of wondering if we could have a little pool of money to provide dog collars for these wild dogs, because my husband and I are walking in the neighborhood a lot more now, and you know, nipped at the heels and concerned, but it occurs to me, if people won't even wear masks, they're not going to accept a dog collar. But,
oh, you mean like we could go to them and say, hey, we noticed your dog isn't wearing a collar.
Well,
Can we
no,
donate this?
But like at some community event, or put it in the newsletter. Here, we're going to provide these dog collars for you so that you won't get called on the animal services, whatever it's called. If it would help to know that they belong to someone and are not strays, if they had a collar.
Sure, for sure. And that's something, yeah.
If people won't wear a mask.
Sure, understood. And that's something I definitely try to communicate to pet owners is you can have a microchip and that's great. But if your dog gets picked up by somebody who doesn't take the time, you know, it's really best to just have a collar with even your name and Sharpie, you know, and your phone number. But yeah, I'll think about whether that could be something we could do.
Thanks.
And it might be worth mentioning in the newsletter too, just that that's the sort of thing that will be helpful for your critters if you've got them.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Well, it sounds like we're at the end of our business. Do we have a motion to wrap up for the evening?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, any seconds?
Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I can't vote. I'm not.
Any opposed? Splendid. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Really terrific to see y'all. And thank you for coming out. And we'll look forward to seeing what comes out of all this.
Thanks, Greg.